How's it going, everyone? What you're going to see today are my Battlefield 4 key binding set and video settings. Everything I'm using right now. That being said, before I go into everything, what I'm going to tell you is that everything is sort of subject to change. I'm still tampering with it. I'm still trying to find the optimizing about 80 to 120 frames average, plus being able to actually make it look kind of pretty, because I did put a lot of money into this GPU. So yeah, let's get into it. First things first, the first thing I do definitely have to say is that I am running Windows 7 64-bit. I'm running a GTX 770, and I'm also using the latest, I think it's 331.65 drivers, the latest driver that just came out that I just downloaded and applied. And the other thing is I'm using a Windows Thor mouse, or a Gigabyte Thor mouse, I should say. And my DPI for it is 2000. It was the set default that came with it, and I haven't changed it since. Okay, now that that's out of the way, looking around here, this is basically what I set it to. The mouse sensitivity is at 20, vehicle mouse sensitivity is 20. I like them both the same, so that way as you play, there isn't really a drastic change that you have to get used to. The only thing I think it would impact is maybe jets, so you'd have to see about that. Raw mouse inputs on. Reason for that is to avoid mouse acceleration. The vertical light, vertical flight, vertical look, flight, everything else I didn't change. Now for the gameplay, I prefer to hold the button to weapon zoom. That way I'm in complete control at all times. And the only other thing I changed besides turning tutorials off is network smoothing factor. And while I have terrible internet as it is, I already have to deal with enough lag and ping spikes in addition to the game zone flaws. So having the smoothing factor off will reduce lag, so that absolutely will help. Right now I'm using war tapes and stereo, and the audio are the only two things I changed. Sometimes I'll switch this to surround, and I might switch this to, or that to surround and stereo, but I'm still tampering with this. This is a pretty good setup for me right now. And here's the video settings. It's 1080p, 120 Hz monitor. Vertical sync is off. Field of view I have at 90 right now, but I am still tampering with this. Anything higher seems a little bit weird, especially when aiming down the sights. And anything lower just seems like I'm not getting a full view of everything I could possibly see. So 90 seems comfortable for me right now. It's what I played it on Battlefield 3, I think, too. I don't like colorblind, resolution scale, and all that doesn't change. Now for the graphics quality, obviously is custom. I personally prefer the texture quality and filtering to be ultra. Lighting effects and quality, you can save quite a few frames here by lowering them to medium. And post-process quality, mesh terrain and quality, keep those all ultra for me. You can turn them down and you'll save frames. If you don't want it to look pretty, you can absolutely turn those down to save frames. But for me, I've noticed that I don't save a ton of frames. Versus when like keeping them ultra versus high, because I don't really want to turn these down considering how much money I paid for the GPU. I'll sacrifice 20 or so frames. Terrain decoration is another one that, and these are the big three. Terrain decoration lumped in with these big four are basically the main four that'll really take your frames down. Actually, I believe it's anti-aliasing deferred. Each step up from off that I put it on took about 20 to 25 frames off when I was testing it out, depending, of course, on the circumstance. But yeah, it was 20 to 25 depending on each time you stepped it down. It'd be 8, doing the math, obviously, it takes you down to about 80, but there are circumstances where, because I record too, so you can take another 10 to 15 off that. Then, of course, you're in a high terrain, high texture area that take another 10, so it brings down to about 60. But having that off saves and keeps it up to around 80 to 100, so it's pretty good. Ambient occlusion is basically mimicking real life lighting. In this game, even with that off, looks pretty good, the lighting effects, so that's fine. The key bindings, what I did do is in the mouse software, I binded these two keys because you wouldn't normally use them in game, and then bounded them to the two side mouse so I could switch between weapons quickly on the side mouse buttons. And everything else was basically sort of left the same, except for in vehicles where the counter, the switch primary and secondary is the same. In countermeasures, I use the middle mouse button, I click it, and I use the same for helicopters and for jets to fire the countermeasures. It's easy because that way everything's in your hand at all time. Okay, what I'll do now It's because I'm holding my microphone and I can't actually do it all at once. What I'll do is, this is the testing range, and I've heard that your frames do bump up about 10 to 20 in the testing range. I'm not entirely sure about that, but that's what I've heard. So what I'll do is I'll jump in the Little Bird, and it's unfortunate, and if someone can tell me later, usually I use DxTory to record, which takes about 10 to 20 frames off if you record it, but I can't seem to get the icon to display while I record in the video, and that's the one thing that's missing from this. But this setup here on average gives me anywhere between, and I'm still tinkering with it, 90 to 120 frames per second no matter where I go or what I do. Only when something like people shooting at me suppressed and a cruise missile explodes near me will it actually drop down below 80. So it's pretty good, at least in my experiences. But I'll take the Little Bird around for a stroll now. And then I'll just to show you what it's like. So thanks for watching, and if you have any feedback or anything, let me know or any questions, let me know in the comment section. See you later.